Hey, welcome back to Object First Technical How-To video series. In this particular episode, Geoff and I would like to cover something that's very important with Object First Ootbi, and that is telemetry services. And exactly what is telemetry data, where does it go, and why, as an Object First Ootbi customer, should you really consider enabling this during your initial setup? So Geoff, why don't you take us in the lab and show us exactly what telemetry is and why customers should leave that turned on?
Yeah, Matt. I mean, the important thing to note here is this is included in the service. And the way you can look at this is having an extra set of eyes on your object storage setup. So from my point of view, that's just plus plus. The problem, of course, is that some people are so used to every application asking them to send data somewhere, they get paranoid and say, you know what, I'm not sending anything anywhere. That's not the case with Ootbi, and we're going to show you why and tell you why. So first and foremost, again, Ootbi is being watched by us for your benefit. Otherwise, you have to watch it. And the data that's being sent are things like heartbeat to know it's alive, system information. Is there a problem with the operating system? Is there a problem with anything to do with your buckets? So it's only at that level. Also remember, this is being sent encrypted over the wire, and it's also being stored encrypted as well. So there is no danger of this information being leaked out. And the information there is nothing that's extremely confidential. I mean, your server is working, heartbeat. So keep that in mind as well. So there's a big plus to this. Now, keeping in mind, though, there are some organizations which simply cannot or are not allowed to send information out. Or perhaps the location where Ootbi is can't send it out, but a different location can, in which case you could use a proxy. So that's something else you could talk to with our sales or support, sales engineers or support, and they can help you out with that. So let's go and see what this is and where it is. When you set up Ootbi, it'll ask you, do you want to turn on telemetry service? That's the first chance you get to turn it on. If you don't for some reason, you can always go back and turn it on in two different locations. The first location is here in the TUI, here, telemetry service. And if I put my mouse there, if I press the telemetry service, basically it's an X. If I use the space bar, the X is gone. That means I've disabled it. If I put the X there, that means it's enabled. It's as simple as that. But if for whatever reason you don't want to go in the TUI, you can go into the UI, the web UI. You're going to go to settings, and then under maintenance, telemetry service, it's here. And if it's enabled, it'll have a green button enabled. And then if you want to disable it for whatever reason, you can disable it. So keep in mind, when it comes to data protection, one of the most important things is to not only have your backups, but also make certain that your environment, your data protection setup is working and functionally correctly. And the more people you have monitoring this, the better.
Couldn't agree with you more, Geoff. So one of the things I think that's important to discuss is why should customers enable this? I totally agree with you. The more eyes, the better, to make sure everything is in the green. But what type of data does this actually transmit to Object First support?
Yeah, so first and foremost is you can actually get a written statement from us. It's in the documentation of exactly what's being sent. So if you need that for compliance or audit purposes, that can be given to you. So as I said before, it's going to send a heartbeat. I'm just reading from documentation too, so that you know that I'm not just making stuff up as I go along. System operational status information. So again, how's the operating system doing? Is there a problem with it? It sends notifications of events and system warnings and errors that should be addressed. So that I think is the, well, not the most important, but extremely important. If there's an error anywhere in your system, this will be sent to our support. Remember, it's not just being sent to the cloud to sit there. This is monitored, and we get alerts on this. So it's very important in that sense. And to add to that, people say, well, where is it being sent? And there are two locations, which you're going to see on your screen. So if you need to open up your firewalls to them, it's only two places you need to send this information to. And again, it's totally under our control and is encrypted.
Great stuff, Geoff. So I think lastly, one of the things we need to clarify or at least cover is, okay, this is great. We definitely encourage and recommend customers to enable telemetry services for all the reasons that you just mentioned. However, what happens if customers are behind, a hardened environment and they simply do not have the option to enable telemetry services for whatever reason? What are some best practices that they should follow to proactively monitor Ootbi on their own, seeing as how our support will be blind to anything that's going on?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because obviously, as we've talked about before, some organizations simply cannot have this allowing it to go onto the internet to do any kind of communication. So in which case, there's a few things you need to do. First of all, in notifications, you should turn on your email notifications, okay? And as you can see here, it's going to send you event severity level, so you can put information. I would actually, if I did not have the telemetry service enabled, I would click all of these, not just warning critical, but also information. I know the cardinal rule in monitoring is don't overwhelm, because people ignore, but I really would want to get as much information as possible if I knew no one else was helping me out. Just my opinion. If you don't need that, you can disable warning critical warning. I haven't turned it on, but you'd be able to disable warning, I think, and well, critical you want to disable unless you're being very gung-ho. Apart from that, though, you're just going to want to log into your dashboard, okay? That's the old way of doing it. And as you know, one of the reasons why these monitoring systems were set up in the first place was because back in the day when you had only a few applications, this was doable. But if you're an organization, you're growing, and you might be one size today, but tomorrow you might be a different size, but there might not be or won't be two of you tomorrow. So this is a problem which is not very scalable. If you get more and more Ootbis, and you're not only Ootbis, but remember your whole environment you have to watch, you are going to have to log into the desktop, I would say every day, to monitor this. This reminds me, by the way, of when I was running Veeam originally, and I just set it up and I had no notifications. And then we added more and more and more, and I had to set up all sorts of notifications because I just could not log in to all my VBR servers to check.
Yeah, totally, Geoff. So I think, in conclusion here, we certainly at Object First recommend all of our customers to enable telemetry service. This not only allows support to keep another set of eyes on your Ootbi deployments to make sure that there's no disk failures, but it's one less thing you have to worry about because, like Geoff said earlier, that's part of the full service that we offer. Now, granted, we realize that not every customer will have the luxury of enabling telemetry services for this reason or that. So please listen to Geoff's best practices about proactively getting into the dashboard, enabling your email notifications so you're alerted, because let's face it, hardware failures do occur. So we run RAID 6. So if you have a disk failure and you're unaware of it, and then months pass and a second disk fails and you had no insight, your data could be at risk. So this is a reason why if you're not enabling telemetry services, you then have to be responsible to log in and make sure everything is running in the green like it should be. And the last thing that we'll close with is we do have an option to enable a proxy. So if there is a way that you can enable a proxy to gain outside internet access for Ootbi to leverage, to send those telemetry service information packets home to our support center, please, explore that option before you completely disable telemetry services. So Geoff, thanks so much for the information. I think it's generally a best practice for all customers to enable telemetry services. It's an additional benefit for you guys, another set of eyes on your Ootbi deployments to make sure everything is in the green. And until the next video, we thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.